You're listening to the Midwest Coven cast. I'm Susie.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Marilyn.
We're three modern pagans stumbling through life and honoring our craft.
Join us in conversations about, well,
just about everything.
Please keep in mind that these conversations are our own thoughts and experiences, and we are not endorsing or advocating any of these activities or life choices. Some choices should be made in consultation with professionals. With that in mind, please enjoy this week's episode.
Welcome back, Coven.
Hello.
So
Good
we're
morning. Afternoon.
I'm going to
It's
light the candle
sometime.
first and foremost before we begin anything.
Let's do the thing.
I'm going to
Just so I
sip
can
my
set it
coffee. We tried a percolator for the first time.
Yeah.
So
I'm not
I'm
going to
not trying it for the first time technically. It's the first time I've made it in a percolator by myself though.
Here, just set it right here.
We'll put it right there so it's not quite...
We are recording.
No,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh.
We're talking about where we're going to place the ritual candle so we don't start any fires.
Well, and we joked around about me putting it right by Sam's
pretty,
coffee, so
we
she would
should
be the
trim
first
that.
one. Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Oh, you guys were talking about our predictions.
Yes, because we basically
Okay.
were, back in the first season, we predicted that one of us would be the first one to actually drink the coffee.
Yes, we
so
did-
I was
we did
kind
do
of being
this.
more
Drink
specific.
the candle, not the coffee.
Or the candle, not the coffee. yes.
I want to drink the coffee, and this is really smooth.
And I almost
like,
set the
delicious.
candle right by where Sam's coffee was. That's why I was like, well, I'll put it over here a little bit just so that way we're not, like, setting you up for that. Because, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Set me up. I'll still win this game.
She's like, I pay attention to what the fuck
I see you.
drinking.
Yes. But yeah, we all have our coffee as usual, and it's delicious. I love percolated coffee because it just reminds me of my grandma.
I would say that coffee is probably my number one mom drug of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably my number one since I was a teenager. I love coffee.
I used to
100%.
hate coffee when I was a teenager.
Oh, I loved it.
I just didn't
always loved it.
understand how anybody could drink that stuff.
See, I was more into frappuccinos back then. I was
Yeah.
more into, like, the milkshake than the coffee.
I was into cappuccinos at the gas stations. Oh, yeah.
Well, I used to, so Grandma Dorothy, she had this little tiny cup, and when I was little, she would let me have a little bit of coffee in it, and it was, like, not a lot, but it was just, like, this little baby ceramic mug, and she would let me put a little sugar in there and black coffee, not
Aw.
black, but it was, like, coffee, no creamer or anything. So it'd be just, like, sugar and coffee, and it was so good. I'm probably not going to exaggerate if I say it was probably more sugar than coffee. At first.
I mean, when you're a kid.
I remember our cousin Justin, when we would all get together and go out for breakfast, he would have coffee, but then put, like, so much cream in it that it would look like chocolate milk almost, or lighter than chocolate milk.
Yeah, right?
That's how I feel, or that's how I felt at the beginning when I started to drink coffee, because I would add so much creamer to it that I was like, man, I feel like I have to open up 10 of these freaking things to even get this to taste good, so why do I even bother drinking it?
Yeah, well, I feel like my coffee game has gone up so much, though, recently. Because, like, I've started making my own simple syrups and things like that for my coffees, and those are
this
just,
is really
like...
good.
Yeah.
And now with the percolated coffee, it is good. It
This
is so
percolator makes really smooth coffee. Like, it's not bitter. That's one thing about, like, we have our Breville, which is our espresso machine that I bought during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it makes really good espresso, but I've noticed lately that, like, sometimes it can be really bitter depending on what milk we use, or, like, I don't know. Something just... Trevor
you
thinks I'm
swap the
crazy,
coffee type or
but
something?
we always get Starbucks coffee, so Starbucks espresso for the espresso. I don't know. Maybe it was when he had his blonde roast, because I prefer dark roast espresso.
I like dark roast,
and
too.
he gets blonde, and it's just not the same. And I don't think he told me last time he got the blonde, and I was like, this coffee always tastes nasty, and it was just like the whole time not the right coffee.
Last time I get her that shit.
I feel like I read somewhere that, like a blonde coffee or a lighter coffee rather than a dark roast. Like a dark roast, it has a much more... It's more flavorful.
Yeah.
But it has less caffeine. But like a lighter roast, it
I've heard
has
that.
way more caffeine, but like a much more light taste. Coffee, it's my friend, and
Yes, I love my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Necessity.
Necessity is
I
life.
can't say words a lot. Like, I've noticed lately, I don't know if I'm losing my memory, but I've been stuttering more. Like, that time in the car with you, like, it happened really, really bad that day, but, like, it just happens in conversation sometimes. I'll just stutter and be like...
Almost like you trip over your literal words.
Yep.
Yep.
They just
I've done it a lot,
stick
too.
there sometimes. Can't get over them.
Like you're stuck in the mud. Like...
Trying to go up the stairs, but you keep falling on the first one.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I had to bite.
So you're getting into your munchies right now, Suzanne?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you
Mom.
getting into your munchies?
Okay, so yes, today, let's get into topic. So the topic today...
I mean, we kind of talked about our mom choice drugs, but our other mom choice drugs, we are Canna Moms, and...
Yes. So we would like to try to advocate for the other Canna Moms out there and let people know, like, hey, you know, these things are helping people.
You can still get your
it's
homeschooling
legal where we are
done,
now.
and...
It's no worse than
Your
alcohol,
job.
I don't think.
Well, and that's always been the thing that's gotten to me the most, I think, is that society is so okay with promoting cigarettes and so okay with promoting alcohol, which those two things kill just as many people and or not, shouldn't say kill just as many people, it doesn't even kill people, but cigarettes kill people and give them all sorts of diseases and cancers, and yet they still are okay with allowing that to be legal.
Yeah.
Same with alcohol, that actually messes people up and allows them to, like, you know...
So I started using cannabis, like, in my 30s. I might have been 29, I don't know. But I got it through the medical card, like, legally, before it became recreational. And I was on 3 pharmaceutical meds for my PTSD and anxiety before that, and I got off all of those.
See?
Like, when I got my medical card. Well, not right away, but, like, with the help of my doctor over time, got off of all my other meds. So,
And see, that's...
I completely advocate for it.
Like, one of the things that I don't understand... Not that I don't understand. I understand because all of the... You know, it's all about making money nowadays, and people don't have the best interest of the people at their true agenda. And I feel like that's the problem, is that Big Pharma, who we're all supposed to trust to take care of us, well, I shouldn't say we're all supposed to trust them to take care of us, but, like, you know, people trust the fact that their doctors are supposed to take care of them, and yet they have these people like Big Pharma that are actually, like, endorsing people to try to push their drugs toward their patients, like it's a freaking, you know, what's the word? You know, like it's a money-making thing versus it being an actual helpful thing for their health. Whereas this is an actual thing that can help people with their health, but yet they've suppressed it for so many years thinking it's just a drug. Then they classify it as like a Schedule 1 or something. Like they scheduled it as like the worst drug that there is. So people were criminalized and put in jail.
I don't know if it's just Big Pharma. I think there's like, you know...
Throughout the years, it's definitely been...
I mean, it's always been outlawed.
suppressed
You know what I mean?
in such a way that, like, I honestly, for years, I've been a weed smoker, and I have not been able to say anything. It's like I was in the closet because I felt like I couldn't tell anybody because I felt like people would judge me so hardly for it.
When I worked retail, though, like, everybody that... Not everybody, but the majority of the people that worked there were...
Yeah.
And, like, it was just kind of a thing you would go on your break, and, like, I was always such a rule follower most of my life. Like, I was so afraid to step outside of the law or authority or what you were supposed to do or told to do growing up. So, I mean, I'm kind of less that way now. I shouldn't say that I would like to say, yeah, I completely am not like that, but, you know,
well, I mean,
my anxiety still doesn't let me do a lot of things that are outside of what, you know, I was told to do. So.
Yeah. I feel you.
Well, and not that they weren't trying to look out for us. I think that to some degree, like, when they did try to, you know, criminalize certain drugs, like, there are hard drugs out there that should be criminalized because there's just... It doesn't do us society very good in any way, shape, or form to have them.
I feel conflicted about criminalization of it, though, because I feel like criminalization does not put drug addicts who are on hard drugs in a position to get better.
True. This is very true.
And I feel like we need to, like, change things to where the focus is to rehabilitation, not necessarily criminalizing of people who have drug problems.
Yes, because
So-
a lot of these people, if you were to rehabilitate them, they can be productive members of society again. But if you just criminalize them and then, force them into a lonely cell of whatever and they don't get better, it's not a good situation for the society where you could help them recuperate. So I 100% advocate for that, yes.
Yeah. I think we need to aim more towards rehabilitation for sure, rather than criminalization more specifically, personally.
No, I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think decriminalizing is kind of like the first step.
Yeah, I
towards
like
that.
solely the drug
True.
use should not be criminal acts, but if they're committing criminal acts while on drugs, they should still be held accountable for those actions.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, if you know you're going to alter yourself in some sort of way, whether it's through cannabis or like alcohol use, whatever, like, you need to understand how that affects you and take responsibility to know not to do that if it makes you act a certain negative sort of way.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
know,
you don't
like-
operate heavy machinery or driving or whatever when you were drunk. So, when you're smoking weed, you shouldn't probably be doing the things that could potentially do the same thing.
Right, yeah. So it's like, as long as you're doing it responsibly, much like alcohol or, something like that, I think it's fine.
Yes, and I definitely feel the same way about psychedelics or just I don't know
Yeah, I've never
any
touched anything like
recreational
that.
realm.
Yeah. I don't judge other people who try it, but that's never been. I've always been scared to do anything more than weed, and now that it's legal, I'll do it every once in a while, and I tried it a few times as a teen too. You know what I mean? Like most people did.
Yeah, and honestly, so when I was 16, I actually tried acid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, I was so bad. But okay, honest to God though, I have to say, it was such an enlightening experience that I feel like it actually led me down a different path than what I would have normally probably taken, I guess, otherwise. It just, I don't know if it, and to be honest with you, I think it almost happened to me too soon though. I wish that I wouldn't have waited to have that experience when I was a little bit more further along in my life experience, I guess, because I feel like it had such an impact on me, but I wasn't fully developed and aware to notice what an impact it could have had on me. And now I understand kind of a little bit more along the lines of what I experienced. And now I can't, it's been so long, it's been nearly 15
So what you're saying
years.
is you want to try a new experience now that you know more about life.
For sure, yeah, I do, because I just realized how profound that experience was, and I want to have another one like that again. Yeah, now that I've experienced a lot more with
Opened
it, I
up
feel
to
like
more
it can
things.
it might be actually more beneficial to my.
I'm too
state of
scared.
mind.
I can't do it.
It is
See, I
scary.
tried
It's
Molly when I went to the music festivals. There was Molly there.
Yeah.
And first of all, that was scary for me. Going
Yeah.
somewhere, not knowing this person and obtaining things from them. And
Right, especially when they all
not
change their
knowing what's
minds.
out there and it being the first time you're doing that. So then, you don't know if that's what it really looks like. I don't know. I
Yeah.
questioned everything.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, for
what is
sure.
this? Is it supposed to be that?
I was
How
the
many
same way.
doses is that supposed to be?
Yeah, you question because you
all
always,
the questions.
You hear all the movie tragedies about these people that will, they'll do acid or something at a nightclub and then they're dead on the ground in the ambulance and getting hauled off to, the ER because their, brain is fucked up. And, so, yeah, I was in that zone before I took mine too. And I was totally like, oh my God, I don't know if I really should, and it made me really nervous. And yeah, it's that's one of the things that they actually talked about, because I've watched a lot of different documentaries about the psychedelics now and how they've been doing more and more studies on them and what they can do for people with PTSD and depression and stuff and anxiety. And I remember them saying something about how, certain drugs are addictive. These are non-addictive. They take a lot to take. It's not something that the weak-hearted wants to just go into every other day and take a frickin', you know what I mean? Psychedelics are not for the weak-hearted. You have to be prepared for what you're getting into, and you have to research, and like she's saying, you have to know the sources, you have to, I'm not trying to advocate for people to go out and do these drugs, number one.
I feel like this is quickly becoming the lost episode.
Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, I'm just getting at the fact that yes, I have definitely when it comes to the world of psychedelics, wanted to advocate for the benefits of them because I can see where research has been taking it in that positive direction for people. So I don't think that it's something that we should definitely delve deeper into the research on that and how we can utilize it to our benefit for society.
I've seen that it can heal a lot of like the damage in the brain from PTSD and other traumatizing things like that.
Like rewiring and rethinking things, and people can actually heal literally. It's
definitely something that they should be looking more into legalizing instead of like keeping suppressed. Like not investigating into. I don't know. Well, I can't find words. I don't know.
Well, and again, I think it literally goes back to the big pharma because a lot of the times it's in their best interest to keep people pumped up with these pills that they have to keep buying all the time rather than having a one-time quick fix that fixes them and then they never have to use their drugs again. It's fucked up, dude. Like, honestly.
Well, I even used RSO, which is a form of marijuana, to when I was in labor for my pain.
Well, isn't that you said it's a pain?
Yeah, for pain management.
Well, I mean, they will pump you with all sorts of different drugs in the hospital, and they're illegal, and they're probably going to mess up that's one of the things that I guess I feel like there's people that are judgy about people that use marijuana, but yet they're not judgy about a person that's on some sort of medication that they've gotten prescribed from their doctor.
100%. I think this comes right down to classism.
Yes.
Well, I want to advocate, first of all, when I was pregnant, I was open with all of my doctors about my cannabis use and how, well, I was a medical cannabis user anyways, but regardless, I was open with my doctors about it, and they didn't have any negative comments to say my entire pregnancy, so...
You know what, that's kind of fucked up, because when I went, so they piss tested me, and the very first time that I went, I didn't know I was pregnant, so I definitely tested positive, but they let me know, like, hey, you gotta watch that, And what I was told by one of the little nurses, not the, like, real nurse, but she was, like, a secondary nurse that was just kind of whatever. She was like, well, yeah, I mean, if you keep testing positive for that, they can take your kids away or something. Like, if I was pregnant and I kept on... And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, those are my medical records. That's my personal information, not DCFS's. I mean, how can they take my records and take my medical stuff and... You know what I mean? But anyway, so I literally stopped smoking. I stopped smoking as soon as I knew that. So my whole pregnancy, I didn't smoke. My whole breastfeeding, I didn't smoke. It was until, like, probably a little into my breastfeeding that I did. I did give in. Finally.
Like I said, I might have got different treatment because I was a medical user and I had my medical license and
maybe that's why, because I didn't have a medical
And that sucks
card.
so bad because that helped you so much with your morning sickness.
Oh my god.
So
seriously.
fucking
In
much.
the morning, that's what I used
and then
it
you had
for,
to
was
stop.
for my nausea, more or less. Because, well, and plus I was already a user before that, so it was something that I just was used to using to feel like my...
Right, but I mean, like, there was, like, a notable
calmed.
difference, like...
Oh, yeah.
And how sick you were between when you
for sure.
were able to smoke and when you were not.
It really sucked, honestly.
Yes.
Like, I wish that I would have known that I could have done that to ease it, and it would have been such a world's difference. But, yeah, the fact that I couldn't and I didn't, like, the nausea really did get to me. Like, not the nausea, but just the actual puking got to me. Like, I had to all the time. But, anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that is something that I'm glad to see that things are probably going in a better direction for moms in that regard, because it can be really useful for pain, useful for nausea, useful for aches, and like it made a world of difference from when I started and stopped. But anyways, nowadays I be using it again, and I'm glad that
I'm pretty much a daily user now, and I enjoy my life pretty well.
Yeah.
And
well, like I said, like, I've honestly been a user for such a long time that it was something that I didn't really, I guess, like, what's the word? Like, you know how some people are like, they identify as it now, which I didn't ever before, because I always kept that on such a it really was like being in the closet. It was weird. Like, because a lot of my friends and family knew. Like, some of my family, I think, were suspicious of it. And then I think a lot of my, like, friends knew, obviously. And then I had other friends and, like, work associates that had no idea. That probably would be like, what? Like, you know, they would never even guess that. But at the same time, like,
It's a
that's
societal taboo, so you don't tell people.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
it really was. That's yeah. But now that it's a little bit more acceptable in society, now it's like, oh, okay, well then I guess there are other people that are on the same side as me. I guess I can like let my walls down and allow other people to know what I am and who I am, and
Yeah.
like, you know, it's one of those.
I
things
mean,
that's,
even us just sitting around earlier, we were like, should we even record this episode? Are people going to want to hear this? Are they ready to, like,
no, this
hear
is
what we
us.
have to say about
Everybody
these
ready for
drugs?
Yeah, like, because it is still kind of taboo. It's like on
Yeah.
it isn't fully open in the society yet, but it's getting better.
Well, yeah, and, like, we're in Illinois, but
Yeah.
we're not our whole audience, so it might not be regulated or legal everywhere, and...
Right, so there probably still is a lot of that same feeling around it that we've been having that we're finally starting to get branched away from because it is legal.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, if it wasn't legal, I'm sure I would still be 100% like, nope, I'm not talking about that. I don't do that. What?
But instead, I'm sitting here sparking up my bowl, and it's like, hey!
Like,
I don't know. I don't smoke as much as you do. And that's not a slight or anything for anyone who's listening. That's just
Yeah, no,
the
I know. Your
reality.
lifestyle is a little different.
Yeah.
everybody does
I don't
it.
smoke
Yeah.
24/7.
I don't judge
I
other
mean,
people. I don't
but it's
really know what their
definitely,
schedule is, you know?
you know, some moms have their glass of wine. I
Yeah,
have my.
100%. I see it the same exact way. If people are gonna judge Canna Moms, then you need to stop like glamorizing the wine mom, like
Yes.
because it's the same fucking thing.
Not that either
pretty
are
much.
bad, you know.
No.
Both are great.
We need to like not demonize either of them.
However you keep your children alive and your household together or not together, like, you know, it's nobody should say anything about anybody else's life. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, no one ever knows what's really going on anyways. Like, who's anyone to say, you know, who's better than anyone else? No one's ever better than anyone else. We're all the same. We all just have our own
Yeah, we're all
opinions
just
and
doing
own
our own thing the best we
perspectives.
can, and
Yeah.
sometimes it works doing things with other people, and sometimes it doesn't. You just gotta find the right ones.
Yes.
Now I'm going off on a whole different topic. It's fine.
I'm like,
Kumbaya.
I feel like such a goody goody though compared to you guys. Like not in like a bad way, but like yeah, I've always been like too scared to do things, and then like I drank a little bit as a teenager, like because most do, you know what I mean?
I mean, we
don't think that was, like,
definitely
hugely-
sipped some stuff out of Mom's fridge here and there. She had her fuzzy navels, and
Yeah,
she had her
mudslides.
mudslides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I never drank any of Mom's, but like you know when I started hanging out with the boys and like whatever,
Yeah.
I you know
She's like, I had to, you know, be
Drink
cool
alcohol.
and drink. That's usually what happens. It's when you are a teenager and you're trying to fit in.
I was
and
young and
cool,
impressionable.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's very impressionable. Yeah, that's about what it was when I was a teenager.
I think the
too.
first time I got drunk, I was like 18, 19-ish. And it was with my boyfriend at the time and his best friend, like in his basement and at his parents' house, you know. For me, I don't have fun most of the time drinking.
yeah.
Well,
I can feel
think
you. I don't
people
drink
change
anymore.
when they drink sometimes, depending especially on the type
Yeah.
of alcohol that they choose. And it's one of those things that, like, yeah, when you're hanging out with a bunch of friends that you're trustworthy of and you think that it's all going to be fine, like, yeah, let's go hang out and have fun and we'll get drunk. That sounds like a fun thing, a new thing. I'll try that. And then people act a fucking fool, and then you don't know what to expect of people when they're acting like that, and then it's, yeah, sometimes, and that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, you can drink, and that's just legal as fuck, but you can't have any weed, because, you know,
Makes you
I've never
chill.
seen anybody so messed up on marijuana that they act a fool like people do when they're drunk.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it's just the
I
fact
think
that
I
I've
100%
observed.
agree with you.
And-
100%.
I mean, I eat a lot of tacos when I'm really high.
Yeah, like, people...
I have like 4
watch-
dinners some nights.
Like, people tend to, like, act really dumb and laugh a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff's pretty funny. Sometimes you do dumb things or say dumb things, and sometimes you, like, yeah, get lazy and you eat a lot of food or you space out in, like, a few marathons of TV shows or whatever. But that's about the worst you can expect out of a weed user. Like, Well, I shouldn't say that. The worst is probably if they do, like we were talking about earlier, like operate heavy machinery and things when they shouldn't be, when they're under the influence and they're thinking that they're fine, and then they do stupid shit. Mm-hmm. That's the worst.
Yeah,
but
or
not to the degree that a drunk person has done in the years that we have. Like,
I mean, there's everything in moderation. I mean, sure, you could do too much of anything at any point, because if you smoke too much
you
and
can drink too much water,
supposed to be watching your children and you go take a nap instead of watch your kids, that could be a liability also.
True. There are very many things that are
Yes, everything in moderation.
Yes. I want to eat a bite of this and I'm like waiting. Oh, the munchies.
I think the DARE program just got to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you remember?
I mean, same, because, like I said, sorry, but, like, I didn't really smoke marijuana until I got my medical card, and even then I was like, okay, I have this one joint that I got from the dispensary, and it took me, like, a whole month to smoke the one joint, because I would, like, take half a drag of it and then be like, okay, I'm good. I'm fine. Like, everyone's gonna know that I'm so high. When, like, I...
The paranoia hits you right away. Like, my eyes must be cashed.
Like, I was so new to it. I was so paranoid that everyone was gonna be judging me for it. I'm pretty acclimated to a moderate high. Like, that's just my level, and, like, so I'm not...
It's one of those
I'm not trying to elevate. I'm just trying to get up to my level that I'm normally at.
That's pretty much how it is for most potheads, though, honestly. Well, I shouldn't say potheads, but, like...
medical
that's how
users,
it is for
whether they're
most
doctor-prescribed or self-prescribed.
But, yes, most marijuana users are pretty much on that track, so it's,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because, like, okay, when I first started smoking, I will never forget the first time that I smoked. So... I'm not going to admit the age that I was, but...
I was in elementary school the first time I smoked with you, so let's just put that out.
You can't tell people.
They already know that you two were trouble.
Well, I want to put it out there, so...
Okay, sorry,
I
Mom.
spilled the beans.
Sorry, Mom. Well, either way, so yeah, basically, after we smoked, I remember... we went to McDonald's, and we were standing in the line, and I looked up at the menu, and, like, there were signs hanging everywhere, and there were menus, and there were just numbers everywhere. I forget who it was that I said this to, but I was like, oh my god, there's, like, numbers everywhere. I was like, everything is numbers. And I was just, like, fascinated with all the numbers everywhere that were around me. And I think I was seeing S's as, like, 5s, and I was seeing, like, 8s. Like, I was seeing letters as numbers. It was really fucking weird.
Was this when you were the first time?
The first time. And then I remember standing in line, looking up at Ryan, and being like, Ryan, your eyes are really red. Because he did. Remember how cashed Ryan's eyes would get? They would get, like, bloodshot red so
I feel
bad.
like mine get that way because I cry.
Like, his were so bad. Like, and they would look like this to me. Like... like, those... Anyway, so I did. I looked up and I said that so loud at, like, the top of my lungs in the line at McDonald's with other people around, and Ryan looks at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, don't say shit like that. Like, so, it was,
it was
great.
So I just remembered while you were telling your story, like, the first time that I got high as an adult was actually before I got my license, like, shortly before. But it was with my ex and his sisters, and they got me high, like, in their back of their grandma's house. Mm-hmm. And then we were going to go inside and play Cards Against Humanity. Well, we, like, went to go stand up to go inside, and I didn't know how to fucking walk. I would pick my leg up, and I was like, I didn't know if it was up or down, so I didn't know I didn't know
Your
how to put it back down
not...
again, and then I would try and pick the other one up, and I had to have someone come hold my hand and, like, help me go inside.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm talking about, tolerance levels. Like, it's just funny to think about how, like, back then when you had never had it in your system ever once before, and that is the reaction that you
I
have.
had
like,
nothing in my system of it.
Fuck. And then nowadays it's like, yeah, I can have one of those in the morning to get me started. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy how much of a tolerance the body builds up of it. But I've honestly been able to think, like, I think it's done really good things for my body over the years too, though, like, because I don't hardly ever get sick. I mean,
same.
I'm pretty young and I feel pretty good. And
I don't remember I shouldn't say that. I did throw up on my vacation last time, but I drank like a whole margarita, and then I went to Starbucks immediately afterwards, and then Trevor tickled me for half an hour, so
that's definitely like asshole.
And then I threw up because he kept making me laugh after I had a margarita and Starbucks like an idiot.
That would not be the marijuana then. But no, I do think that getting high when you are intolerant of it is very fun because you get to have those fun, wild, like,
hilarious.
out of normal experiences, you know. But then the only downfall is after the years and you do kind of get used to it. You don't really get those types of experiences anymore because you're just so tolerant of it.
Yeah.
But it does keep me calm, and it does keep me...
Although I feel like maybe that 1,000 milligram cookie did hit us a little, like a back in the day high.
Yeah, you know.
I need to put together part 2 of that.
Yeah, we do. Well, and that's the thing too, like, edibles don't really seem to work well on me most of the time. Like, I'll usually get a good sleep out of it for sure, though. So that's one thing that...
So, like, calms you down, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does... Well, honestly, I need to look this stuff up because I don't really know. But I've watched a thing that was talking about how the cannabinoids in our system, it runs throughout our whole body, and it really helps regulate, like, everything in our body. And so, like, by smoking weed on a regular basis, it actually helps regulate your system, like, on a whole level. Like, but... Anyways, and this is all before I even knew about what the benefits of weed were, and I'm like, well, I can vouch for that because I feel pretty healthy and I smoke weed all the time.
Right. Yeah, I've never really read on that, so.
I'll have to, look up the different... There's a lot of studies that are coming out nowadays, though, which is really nice because it seems like
I think with legalization there'll be more studies, so we will understand it better.
Ooh, hopefully. We should sign up be guinea pigs in these studies. We get some free weed. I'll sign up. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I want to sign up for, like, the veteran PTSD, like, whatever.
Psychedelic?
Yeah, those studies.
You should, honestly. They probably...
MDMA studies.
Yeah. We need to look into that. Well, you need to look into that because obviously I wouldn't be able to qualify for that. But you let me know how it goes, and maybe you can be in the, what's the word? You can be on the cutting edge of.
But see, I also don't want to be any part of any government studies. So, like.
Yeah, there's that. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of get suspicious when.
I hope they find something out real good for us. And I get the benefits. But I do not want to be a guinea pig in any I did that. I paid my years.
Been there, done that, not doing it again.
I paid my time. They injected me what they wanted to when I was there.
Yep.
What they wanted to, not what I wanted to.
Susie, isn't there a story about you and Dad and, like, DARE pamphlets, though?
Oh, heck yeah. So, yeah, when I was in DARE, I remember I used to bring the pamphlets home to Dad because he was a smoker and he used to chew tobacco. And I would go into school. They would show us all of this stuff about, if you smoke and if you do the chewing of tobacco, these are the things that are going to happen to your lungs, these black lungs, these icky, cancerous tongues. This is what you're going to do to your mouth. So I would bring these things home and give them to my dad and be like, dude, look what you're doing. Look what you're doing to yourself. Not home, I shouldn't say, but I bring them over with me on the weekends.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Like, I did something similar to Mom, though.
Did you?
Yeah. So we used to have, like, family meetings. And Mom used to, like, have fuzzy navels every once in a while. She would have, like, one a night. And, like,
a wine cooler.
A couple of times.
2%
like,
alcohol.
Yeah. A couple of times she had 2, and, we were, like, getting these DARE programs and shit, at school, and so we had a family meeting, and I was like, Mom, I'm just really worried, because a couple of times now, I've seen you have 2, wine coolers. Like,
All
my God.
concerned she was an alcoholic or
Yeah,
something.
basically. And she just kind of stopped drinking much after that. I feel so bad.
Oh.
So I remember, like,
Oh, man. I stole her joy.
I remember having the same mindset as a kid, though,
man.
back in the day, because they really put that into you in the school, like, the public school system.
Oh, yeah.
My parents didn't drink much either. Like, my dad would have a beer every once in a while, and my mom would have, like, you know, those teeny tiny bottles of, like, wine. She would have, like, a white Zinfandel here and there. And every time they would have one, I would be like, you guys are such terrible parents getting drunk all the time. Like, it just in my head, you know? Like, you guys are always drinking when, like, they weren't always drinking. And they would have, like, a drink.
And as an adult, you realize just how minimal it was. Like, oh, God. Like,
but, yeah, like, I thought, like, it was something you shouldn't ever do ever. So when they did it every once in a while,
but it's so socially acceptable to drink, like, once you get older, which is so funny because, like, you know, weed, it's not so much, but, like, it's getting better, but it kind of sucks because it's the same kind of escapist / wind down sort of situation in it to a degree, you know what I mean? It's something for us to, like, have fun, wind down, you know, cope with life. And I think that's natural for a lot of people. And so the fact that we sort of demonize
well, I feel like a lot
the
of
one
people...
now way more than the other, because, like, drinking is almost celebrated in a lot of places now.
Right.
Like, when you get older, it's like a part of the social fabric.
Once you're 21,
almost.
you can drink, then it's like a thing. Basically, if you think about how I think people are afraid that if they decriminalize it, that everybody's just going to start smoking weed and become a bunch of druggies, and it's just going to be bad for our society. But the problem with that is, like, if you look at other countries that have decriminalized it, it doesn't necessarily prove that...
Those that are going to do it are going to do it.
Right.
I mean...
Well, and if anything, it just helps us get the people that aren't true criminals out of jails, because it's not in our best interest to keep all those people in jail. And like you're saying, the decriminalization of it, like...
A lot of them, if they're battling addictions, they're in jails of their own, like, already, mentally. So us just putting them in jail, that's keeping them safe from their addiction, technically, but, like, it's not solving any problem, because then they're I don't know.
The current system,
there.
The current system is far too set up for punishment rather than rehabilitation.
Yes.
And that is a huge problem, because once you get them into these jail environments versus trying to, like, cure their addiction or help them to manage the addiction in healthy ways, then what, you know, you're basically doing them to criminalization. Like, they're going to be... And it's so hard to get, like, jobs after you've got that and, like, all of this.
What was that?
It basically outcasts them from society without, like, officially doing so.
What was that documentary that you had talked about was on Netflix? I think we were recently having a conversation, and I was talking about how, like, businesses actually... I've heard something about how it is in certain corporations' best interest to have people in jail because they outsource their work to them, and then it's like a workforce for them. So if they keep more people in jail,
and
then
they make
have
like
more
13 cents an hour or something.
Exactly.
It's basically slave labor.
It's
the prison industrial
slaves.
complex is it's horrible for poor people, especially, but especially like poor.
Well, because they were talking about how somebody can go to jail on such a small offense as weed or something, and then because they can't make bail, they're then forced into the system, and because then they're in the system, then they actually get forced further down into the system if they can't afford up out of it, whereas a person that was able to fight their case outside of prison are a lot more at resource to get out. I mean, it literally is just like
the system is, like, built against poor people, particularly. So, like, once you, like, in the system for a drug offense or something like that, if you are poor and you can't, get good representation to sort of get you out of it or whatever, it becomes this, like, burden upon you for the rest of your life. And so, like, those things sort of compound because a lot of the crime that is committed is because of poverty. And once you, like, start getting people down these lines of poverty, it's, like, almost impossible to get out of it. And so, like, if you have, like, a middle-class life or something like that where you can afford, like, decent-ish representation.
You can afford bail to get out when you're on that small list.
Right. And then, like, you get, like, friendly judges who will dismiss it because you don't want to ruin a young man's life. You know what I mean? Because there's, like, these inherent sort of biases, particularly amongst the moneyed, and those who are at least a little bit moneyed.
This is going to be a slightly off topic, but do you know, well, it's on topic, but it's going to be slightly off of our episode topic, but there was a study done, I don't remember where, but it was, like, talking about how people that are put in front of, like, a judge to go on, say, what do they call that when you're on court supervision? Mm-hmm. They tested, and it was, like, consistent across the board with all the judges that if they were right early in the morning, if they saw the judge, they were more likely to get released out on it, and then more toward lunch, it dwindled the judge's, like, judgment on who would get released and who wouldn't, and then after lunch, it was at a peak again, because they were fresh off of a meal, and they were, like, right in their mind, and they were calm, they were in their good state of mind and whatever, so then they were able to make good decisions, and then by the time that, the end of the day was approaching, you were dwindling off on the decisions to get let out, so it depended on the time of the day that you saw the judge as to whether or not you had more likelihood to get released out on court supervision or not. It's weird, right? Mm-hmm. Fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, there are, like, all kinds of issues with the system, but yeah, ultimately, there's a lot at stake of people staying within that system and being perpetually within it, because it provides, like you say, if they ended up in the prison pipeline, there's a lot of there are for-profit prisons, you know what I mean? And, you know, and
that should not be a thing. That's something that I think we all need to kind of, like, figure out, like you're saying, to instead of having a criminal thing, have it be a rehabilitation situation instead, because otherwise it
also disenfranchises a lot of people, because if you get felony drug charges, you can't vote.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That's interesting, too.
Yeah. So there's, like, there's
a whole other layer to this.
Too. But if you, like, look at those pipelines, you would see who it affects, like, the most.
But, like, one thing that I am kind of also glad and not glad for, I guess, is, like, with them decriminalizing it in certain states. Like, does that mean that certain people can now grow it for themselves? Or does that now mean that there's just now people that are not going to be able to do that because there's people that... Because the government is now kind of trying to take ownership of it or something. Or not the government, I guess.
So you're asking what the legality of growing it now, you said?
Well, kind of. Like, because I guess what I'm curious about is, so, like, it's a good thing, I think, that they're decriminalizing it and that it's available to people through dispensaries and stuff. But the downfall to that is that the people that have been doing it for years on the street, on the down low, as drug dealers, which is something that they're criminally known to be, is now a bad thing because, it's always been a down thing for society.
Well, there are definitely criticisms about the way in which this has been implemented, because it's a lot of, like, rich people making more money off of drugs that people who were poor have been, like, criminalized for doing the exact same thing, just when it wasn't legal.
Very hypocritical.
Super.
You're going to point the finger at the drug dealer down the block, but then you're going to go and buy it from a dispensary and be cool. Like,
it sort of depends on the state, but, like, I'm pretty sure when Illinois instituted this, there are some things written in the bill that is sort of meant to help go back into some of the populations or, like, the places that have been affected the most by this sort of, like, war on drugs of the last, like...
Try to recuperate some of the stuff that's happened to the...
Right, to sort of help put money into those sort of localities and sort of, help in those places. Like, some of the revenue from the taxes is sort of built into this. And I can't remember exactly what those are, but
it'd be smart,
I'm pretty sure
because
I read that somewhere.
Really, I mean, it needs to happen. I mean, it's going to be a slow thing that happens, but as long as we are starting on it and it is helping get those people out that aren't supposed to be in there. Because that's, I think, the problem is that, I would just be so frustrated if I knew I'm sure I do know people, but I don't know them as directly as other people do. But, like, people that are in those jails that are suffering because of things that they should never have had to have been in there for in the first place. Like, we need to get, anyways. I don't even know where I'm getting at with that, so I'll just...
We need to
stop.
decriminalize drugs, y'all. That
Yes.
was mostly the point.
Everyone just needs help.
Yeah.
We need to help them.
I mean, I think, drug offenses are like one of the top things in prisons, so I think it's an important thing to discuss, actually. So,
well, and I wish that the politicians that take office would also consider like all these different. I mean, I'm sure they do, and I just am like so far away from politics that I don't see it. But it would be a smart thing for them to consider because they could really restructure a lot of shit if they would pinpoint the main problems like this and figure something else out with it. Because man, if you could, I don't know. I talk a lot of big stuff, and I don't really have a solution either. So,
yeah. Well, there are actually some like cities or like municipalities, things like that are trying to sort of re-envision the way that we treat, the way that we deal with people who have drug issues around them. So, like, for example, they have some places have like staffed with like nurses and things like not a house but like clinics or whatever where people can go to, like, if they are on hard drugs that might kill them, they can go to this like controlled environment to do it, so that way if something happens there's medical staff on call right there that can help you. But I think,
do they also, I hope, offer rehabilitation programs to help them get off of that? Okay.
I think that's a kind of like the other part of it. Like, there's also services there that they can take advantage of if they are
I feel like a person that's willing to open themselves up to go to a place like that to start anyways would probably be more open to grabbing one of those pamphlets one of the times that they end up there maybe anyways. You know what I mean? Because I don't think that people that have the... I feel, and I don't know because I haven't really, personally been in this situation, but I would think that a person, if I was in that situation, I would think that if I had the awareness of myself to go to a place to do it, and that place is offering me a way out of doing it, that I might be aware enough to take on some of the help that they would offer too, Right. I don't know though, but it's good that they offer those places for those people though, because that'd be a first step to helping them. Versus criminalizing them. Don't drop anything. I'm just kidding. I looked over and you had this look on your face. I'm so sorry I dropped something like it's okay.
It's gonna fire me.
Well, ladies, I mean, we pretty much talked out all of our stuff about drugs, so
I love when we were putting this together. It like reminded me of my favorite Weezer song. Strong?
Oh, your song?
My favorite Weezer song. We are all on drugs, yeah. It's really true. Pretty much everybody's on some kind of drug. It might be pharmaceutical. It might be
coffee.
legal. It might be somewhere in the middle. It might be
caffeine's
coffee,
a drug. Yeah. A lot of, anything is... What drug classification are we talking about here, ma'am?
So stop being judgy. Everybody's on something.
I mean, this is true. It is kind of like that, though. Like, what one person considers a drug, another person might consider not a drug.
Yeah. 100%.
I say we all stay out of everyone else's business and just do our own drugs. I mean, live our own lives.
I love it.
And do each other's drugs.
And just because I think this will get my my ass moving, I think that this week, instead of shouting out someone else, we should shout out our shop button on our website.
Ooh.
Which might have some stickers and magnets in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hopefully. If I figure it out and don't have to edit this out. But maybe this will account for some accountability for me to get that operational.
Put a flame under that butt.
Yeah, because now that the semester is basically over,
that's true.
I need to reallocate a little bit of my teaching time to my dissertation and a little bit of my dissertation time to getting that set up. So,
yay.
I'm excited.
Yay.
Merch.
Y'all better buy our merch.
Well, we've had some inquiries, so we are making it happen.
For sure, yes.
Yes.
I've had some people ask, so...
I have too, actually.
Yeah.
A couple people at work were like, so what's up?
Totally.
Making this merch or what?
We have the merch. We're trying to figure out how to get it to you guys legally.
Yes.
Yes.
We need to make sure we
We're
have all of
attempting
these
to do
things.
the thing the right way.
Sort it out.
So it's difficult to navigate, guys. Anyways, we're really excited that you're listening. We hope that you check out our merch soon.
Yes, and no
And
pressure
no
to
pressure.
do drugs or listen
Or
to
buy our
us.
merch.
Yes, or
Maybe
buy
a little
merch.
pressure on them.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
Whatever. No, but for sure, no pressure to do drugs or
No.
do drugs. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys
Be
do or
your
don't
own
do
person.
is your own thing.
Do what you do.
We are
We
just here
do
to
not
tell you about
advocate
our own
breaking the law.
experiences.
And we're going to do what we do.
With that being said, I think it's time, ladies, that we say,
Blessed
be. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Midwest Coven Cast.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And if you love us, consider leaving us a review.
You can also join our coven by following us on social media.
At Midwest Coven on Twitter and at Midwest Coven Cast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
You can also find us at MidwestCovenCast.com.
Until next time, Coven, blessed be.